Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. Exciting show tonight on Sports Talk Tech. I'm joined by my very good friend Marish. Marish knows everything Manchester United, longtime Manchester United fan, and we're going to talk a lot of things about Manchester United tonight. Marish, it's great having you on the channel.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Yeah, how excited are you for the start of the season?
I made a very, very, very big mistake as a United fan. I got a little bit excited during preseason play, and I know that's a big mistake, but it's starting to kind of mellow out now. I'm excited for football to be back, and I'm tentatively excited about this season to begin.
All right, yeah, in a way, I'm like you on that. Premier League started today. Arsenal top of the league.
Top of the league.
Don't want to talk about them. I think they barely passed Crystal Palace today, but yeah, I guess the thing about Manchester United is, if you're a long-time follower of Manchester United, there's big shadows around the club, right? You know, we're still in a post-Ferguson era where we can't quite figure out what's the problem here. And a lot of money spent, a lot of managers. But we got Eric Ten Hag. I think we got the guy we want, the kind of football man we want. Yeah.
We got the number one signing we wanted. That was Ten Hag. We have so far made a big error in not going for a proper number 6. And we haven't gotten a striker.
But isn't that number 6 Frenkie de Jong and
Frenkie de Jong with his name all over it? If Frenkie de Jong is, if he wants it, and if Barcelona pay him his deferred wages, maybe. But at the same time, you got to ask yourself the question: how long can you continue following a player and trying to convince him to come on? I know it's a little bit more complicated with Frenkie de Jong because of the wage stuff, but this has midfield saga written all over it, and it has from the very, very beginning, right? I think about like Wesley Sneijder back in 2010.
Yeah,
you know, I think that's the great example of like something that we didn't necessarily need, but we really, really wanted in that moment. I also don't know if Frenkie de Jong is the player we need.
Oh, really? That's it. Yeah, I never thought about it that way. Why? Yeah.
I think that we have a lot of good. Let me put it to you like this. First of all, I think that Frenkie de Jong is dynamic and brings a lot to the table. He's a good defender. He can do something that few United midfielders, in particular those who would be kind of more classic 6s and 8s, and I'm not talking about Bruno Fernandes, I'm not talking about Christian Eriksen. He has an ability to get out of tight spaces, and he has an ability to make a little bit of room. And you know, like Paul Scholes would have said, like that is one of the characteristics of a great midfielder,
right?
Is being able to be surrounded by players but still have time to make the pass or to do whatever
he dictates the players, like a Michael Carrick we need or something like that.
Yeah,
probably different, but
yeah. But Frenkie de Jong has all of those characteristics, but I don't think that's necessarily what United need. In particular, if they're going to try playing Christian Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes together, which I actually foresee them doing. I see Bruno Fernandes dropping into a number 8 role and Christian Eriksen going up a little higher in the number 10. What they need is a destroyer. And I think Frenkie de Jong doesn't quite have the defensive characteristics to be able to give that to United right now. What you really want is like a Kante in his prime, you know, or Idrissa Gueye. Like, I mean, somebody who can break up play, somebody who can get the ball back quickly. And honestly, the thing that Fred was bought to do, but as we know,
he's not good at doing that.
Fred's about a 6 or a 7 at most things.
Yeah.
Although we found out that he's about a 7 at shooting last season.
Well, I mean, if you push Fred higher up in the play,
yeah, exactly,
he looks like a different player.
No, Fred's like a very like adequate number 10 and a very substandard number 6. So it's complicated. Go on.
The interesting thing about you saying that, because I am thinking that Frenkie de Jong, and thanks everyone for joining us on the channel tonight. You know, Marish and I are here to talk all things Manchester United. Get your questions in. The thing that, if nothing else, Ten Hag is a pragmatic guy, right? And so even if you listen to the press conference today, because signing De Jong is a saga. You mentioned the Barcelona owing money to him and wanting him to leave so they don't have to pay him the wages. How ridiculous that is, Barcelona. And they're signing tons of players.
Yeah.
But back to the point is, I don't think Ten Hag would be waiting this long if he didn't know that he had some verbal communication with the player that he will come, but I can't do this because I want my money, right? And he also said something which is telling, because if nothing else, Ten Hag is a stubborn guy too, maybe stubborn in a good way, but he says you can't sign players unless it's the right player.
Right.
And I guess he'll say, if I can get De Jong, I will develop another player, whether that's a James Garner or we make do with the players that we have. But that is cheap talk, right? I mean,
it's hard to know, isn't it? I mean, I don't believe that there's only one player for one position. I think that one of the big keys to being a successful United manager moving forward is being able to be, as you said, the word pragmatic, right? Pragmatic with the players you can buy, but pragmatic with the players who you can't buy. What do you do then? What do you do next, right? And he's kind of stuck in this position where he has put all of his kind of emotional and like financial kind of energy into this one player. That player can't say one way or the other if he wants to actually join or not because of the financial constraints that are happening at Barcelona right now. That makes sense. The line of inquiry as well that United have to have more information that we have, because why would they be pursuing this player for the last 2 months, right?
And all indications that there's an agreement between Barcelona and Manchester United, you know?
Yeah. And I get that. But this is assuming that United have, over the last 2 or 3 months since Ten Hag come in, that they've completely overhauled a recruitment system that last year was a shambles.
It was non-existent. Yeah.
The great example of that is Alex Telles. So Alex Telles yesterday goes on loan to Sevilla. Alex Telles was bought last year, 2021, under Ole. He has 1 season. He's got a contract until 2024 with an added year if he wants it, and he's going on loan. You're paying 15 million for Alex Telles. He's not on small wages. You're paying for wages for him while he's at Sevilla for the year, and you're getting in somebody to replace him, Malacia, who looks like a proper left back.
I think so too. Yeah,
and I think Alex Telles is the great example of the left back who's a lot closer to a winger than he is a defender, right? But not thinking that through. Not seeing through the development of Alex Telles, and maybe that might be a once-off, but we know as United fans that like the recruitment hasn't been good in a number of different areas on the pitch. We're putting a lot of faith into the belief that United know what they're doing and that they've turned it all around in terms of recruitment strategies.
It's a massive point. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Thanks, Danik, for joining us from Indianapolis. Yeah, we have new CEO. Yep. Richard Arlen is there. Seems to be a shift from the Ed Woodward years. Arnold, fans went to his house, which none of us condone, but we can understand the frustration. And he's leaving Football Matters to Murtaugh and Darren Fletcher. And so the question is, and it seems as if, but there's no recruiting, and I think you're right on this, because everybody we've been linked with, everything that's coming through, all seem to run through either playing in Holland, where Ten Hag would have observed the player, or come through an Ajax academy in some capacity, right? Yeah. And in a way, I can understand that, because you want a manager you want a player that fits the philosophy of the manager. But I beg you the question to think about: is Erik Ten Hag the type of manager we need, that he can improve players? Because that's something United has not seen in a long time. And in a way, I think he's a teacher, right? The Ajax system suggests that he has to develop players that come out of the academy to make them good. They're a selling club now. And so he may have looked in the academy and see a lot of talent there. And if he's saying, if I can't buy the correct player, then I will just train one up. But So can he do that on? Should we really be doing that if we're trying to challenge?
Right.
Yeah.
I think the great example of that is what happened after Ole was sacked. And Ralph Ragnick coming in and all of us getting a little bit excited because we'd seen his teams over the last few years and we saw what kind of football they play, a high press game, get the ball back, score goals quick on the break. And what did we see? We actually saw a little bit of a devolution. We saw a United team that was very average under Ole, who would play for him, but who are effectively running out of ideas. Getting replaced by a manager who's very technical, who maybe didn't have the experience at a big club that we probably needed.
Like a boardroom guy, but
like I mean, he built teams, but did he necessarily always coach teams?
Right.
And that's the big question. I mean, that's the big shame, right? Is that we weren't able to keep him on board. He obviously took the Austria job. But with Erik ten Hag, can he improve players? I mean, preseason would suggest yeah.
You like what you see, like the pattern of play, the high pressing, Tony Martial looking like a world beater.
Well, listen, Dwayne. Think about Andres Pereira.
Okay, you in preseason Ballon d'Or, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He convinced us all that he had turned into, Pirlo.
Yeah.
For 4 weeks out of the year. But what happens next, right? Anthony Martial is this great example of talent that's unfulfilled, right? But is Anthony Martial playing exactly at the level that he was always meant to play at? We'll harken back to his dream debut against Liverpool back in the day.
Dribbling through, yeah.
And he had a good season in 2018, I want to say, with like
25 goals or something like that. Yeah,
Rashford and him both made, big assists, big goals. He's been at the club for 8 years at this point, 7 years.
Right.
He got there in 2015.
Went on loan to Sevilla as well, and it was
nothing.
It was catastrophic to say the least.
Yeah.
And if you were to survey every United fan, I would imagine they would say there's no way he should be at the club, except for what they call it, Martial F.C. or whatever.
Right.
But yeah. So I don't know. I mean, speaking about Tony Martial, and thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks Anish for joining us as well. Appreciate it. Get your questions in if you have them. We'll get to them. He's not even playing on Sunday. So the good look you see up front with Rashford and Martial and Sancho looking much better, Bruno back there. I'm gonna get you to at some point later in the show to talk about the setup for Sunday, but I just don't. He's not even gonna play. He's out on a hamstring. Ten Hag said today in press conference when they asked him how long he's out for. Well, we can't really say. I hope it's not too long. A typical hamstring, if it's a low grade or so, is 3 weeks, 4 weeks. If it's anything worse, we're not seeing him till October.
And who do you have then?
And that's the question. All right, so maybe we should go to the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
So the biggest, I think Ten Hag has been doing a fantastic job. I think I'm seeing some philosophy changes.
Yep.
The play, the intensity, up the field, pressing as a team, sometimes dropping off.
Yeah.
Preseason 6 games, 3 wins, a loss and a draw, and a loss to Atletico Madrid, which I think we outplayed them. Right. We should have probably scored a lot of goals, but you get Atletico Madrid, that's a good benchmark for any team. On any day, they stifle you. And so I saw some things there that suggest to me that we're moving in the right direction. In my mind, I don't know if he really wants Cristiano Ronaldo to stay because I don't know if he fits the pressing, fits the style. And clearly, Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't want to stay, making all these noises. He was away on preseason for personal reasons. I'm not quite sure what that is. And now he left at halftime. So if you're a manager like Ten Hag, who's a disciplinarian, because we know Garnacho, all these guys, if they're 5 minutes late, then you're out. He probably doesn't want to play him on Sunday. Yeah. But does he have a choice?
Does he have a choice? Well, Martial's out. Let's just make that assumption that he's going to be out. It's, it seems like, as you said, low grade hamstring injury. Hamstring injuries can be funny. If it's not a proper tear and if it's just a tweak, right? It can
couple of days rest.
A couple of days rest and a week or two you could be back hypothetically. how does the team change under Ten Hag's philosophy, which is a high press? We have seen that so far.
Yeah.
Can Ronaldo fit into that model of high pressing? I don't think it's a question of can he. I think he probably can. I think the question is, does Ten Hag want him to be part of that system? And Ronaldo's a bit of a poison chalice, right? And we all got very, very giddy against Newcastle last season when he joined and scored. Was it a hat trick he scored against Newcastle?
No, I think it was two goals. Yeah.
It was like a nice nostalgic kind of moment.
Thought I was going to great link up with Shaw or something.
Yeah, and I wish I could have just bottled that. And I could have been. I felt that kind of the same way, like a pang of nostalgia. And I felt the same way back when it was 2013 or 2014 when Ronaldo scores. Might have been a little later than that. Ronaldo scores that header against us past De Gea. And it's at Old Trafford, and he refuses to celebrate.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And it's those kind of little moments you want to just kind of bottle and hold on, and then put them in your back pocket and just start walking away, because that's Ronaldo of the past. And Ronaldo of the past left United with a lot of capital, a lot of social capital, in a way that like players like Rooney didn't. Like there was a lot of fanfare around Ronaldo leaving. People were upset, but people understood. People were like, okay, he's done his thing. He's going to follow his childhood dream. He's going to play for Real Madrid. Okay, that's fine. When Rooney left, right, it was more complicated, right? There was always a little bit of scorn toward Rooney. You think 2011 when he almost leaves, right? Like, I mean, but Ronaldo had a longer leash.
Right.
To work with, and he had a lot more to do. Subsequently, like, I mean, if you're going to come out effectively publicly, now he doesn't say it himself, but we get enough information in terms of like looking around at other clubs,
right? And Mendes doesn't. Your agent does not come the first day of training when you're back at Carrington, and that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense
when you're under contract, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing with Pogba. Right? Like, I mean, like your agent is speaking on your behalf,
right?
It's not like he's just like rogue agent who's kind of doing something without your knowledge,
right?
And he thinks it's going to benefit you. No, like,
and Mendes doesn't agitate the same way Raiola did, right?
No, absolutely not. So to be very flagrantly going to different clubs, which is fine. If he wants to do that, if he wants to leave the club, go.
Yeah,
I would say we don't need him.
Well, I mean, I want to make one point on that. So I think the last few weeks since the start of preseason, his legacy is somewhat thin, because without him last year, I don't think he scored a heck of a lot of goals for the club last year. The thing that I don't understand, and I can't put my mind around, is the moment Manchester United does not qualify for the Champions League, is the moment we know that Cristiano Ronaldo wouldn't want to stay, or they should know that. So at that stage, you should say, look, my clause, I missed the Champions League. I'm not in the Champions League. I need to be out. Yeah. And so if you know that from the get-go, then Ten Hag inherits a different structure, not thinking about him. Yeah. Or maybe he was forced to think about him. I don't know the answer to that. But don't come at the start of preseason now, because it's just making things worse when the fans are upset, the club is in problems. Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, he knows what he's doing. And I think that there's a respectful way to want out of the club. Right. And there's a bit more of a disrespectful way to want out of the club. Leave him with 10 minutes to go at Old Trafford the other day when the preseason friendlies. That's not the way to do it.
Right.
And I think that's when I was talking about social capital, like, I mean, and a leash. Ronaldo had a lot of length on that leash left, but it's significantly getting shortened. And he doesn't need to do that, right? Mendes can be getting in touch with clubs and trying to kind of facilitate a move. Ten Hag knows what's going on. Just show up to training.
Yeah, go on preseason tour.
Preseason tour. Do whatever you need to do. Advocate for your move in private, and then act like a professional in public. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's a conundrum now, because now I'm not so sure he'll leave, right? Because
Right.
I still think he could leave at the last minute. I think there's only a few type of clubs that should venture to take Cristiano Ronaldo because he comes with a lot of baggage, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to take Cristiano Ronaldo, you need a squad that is assured. They have a lot of leaders across the pitch, big and inside the dressing room, because he's going to come. I don't want to say a circus, but he's going to come with a level of scrutiny, and he could upset the apple cart, to say the least, right? And so if you are a club and you're taking Cristiano Ronaldo, you have to be on the verge of winning something, and he just fits in. And the challenge with Ronaldo too, which I think is especially problematic, is that he wants to play every game, all day, every day on Monday.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when you look across Europe at the massive clubs, no one will take that, right? And so I'm wondering if they're either just waiting until end of the transfer deadline, or it's real realization that there's not a single club that can take him. And he also doesn't come cheap. He's not going to lower salary to an extent that,
I'll put a little bit of an addendum in there because I completely agree. He's the kind of like that missing link for a lot of teams that are just about right on the precipice, right? Like a team like a PSG, while I wouldn't like to see Ronaldo going to PSG, that's the kind of club I feel would benefit from a Ronaldo. Maybe
Messi and Ronaldo in the same team.
I mean, at least for what like maybe. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if I completely agree with that. But the other team that would really benefit from Ronaldo is a team who's really struggling, and they need a little bit of a.
But that's not a Champions League team, though.
Like, I mean, like a Champions League team that might be kind of like historically kind of very relevant, but not really performing. I'm describing our team right now.
Yeah, exactly. Manchester United. Or Milan. Yeah. I don't know.
But all of those teams in the middle, where they're building something and where they're creating the structures that they want, Ronaldo comes in, like you're saying, all this fanfare, all this press, which can be a really good thing if it's controlled. But as we're seeing with Ronaldo is very much so, and always has been, right, very aware of what he brings to a team, both on the financial side, but also on the playing side. So you're taking a big risk by bringing in a Ronaldo, and we took in a big risk by bringing in Ronaldo,
and we couldn't allow him to go to City, right?
We couldn't allow him to go to City, but like that kind of tells you where we
were thinking, right?
Yeah, but it also tells you like kind of a little bit about him and how he's thinking about his career, that he even considered that,
right?
To begin with.
Well, although people like Rio Ferdinand and others were saying he wasn't going to do it, but you don't.
United fans are funny. They have both the longest memories of any
and
football and the shortest memories.
Yeah.
When he scored those goals against Newcastle, everybody forgot that he almost joined. Right. Something kind of similar happened with Rooney when he scored the bicycle kick
against City. Yeah, it's a magic of football, right?
Yeah, it's the magic of football.
That's why we're fans. Yeah. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. We see is that Mushu? If I got that right, sorry if I butchered that. Thanks for joining us. We have a few questions here. We probably could take it. Someone, Danik is saying, is his current behavior a hinder? Going to hinder his potential for joining a new team, or is he on his way to the infamous Hall of Fame? I mean, you want to take us out?
It depends on the team.
Yeah.
It depends what that team is gunning for. Is it like a proper footballing team who's looking to win trophies, or is it a team that wants to make some money?
Right.
That's looking for this marquee signing who might score a couple of big goals.
Right.
I think for those type of teams, I don't think this behavior is gonna hurt his chances of joining this team. But going back to what you're saying, Dwayne, like, I mean, he's 37.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah,
he ain't no spring chicken anymore. Obviously he's in great physical shape,
but he can't play every game at the intensity that
And I think something that we noticed when we saw him playing, he's slowing down.
Yeah,
he's not as quick as he used to be. Right, he can still hit that ball pretty damn hard.
Yeah,
and he can score goals, and he's still fantastic in the air, but he's not as quick as he used to be. And I think in a world where we can rely on a classic number 9, that, as we know, the days of the number 9 are kind of dwindling. Right. You look at, I mean, City in some ways are a bit of have become, they made a decision.
They finally bought a striker.
They finally bought a striker, right? Like, I mean, it's something that they haven't had since
Kun Aguero, right? Yeah.
Kun Aguero, and even Kun Aguero, was a little bit more dynamic than your classic number 9.
Yeah.
Like, I think, what was Dzeko, right?
Was
their
last
proper number 9, I want to say, right? So Haaland was a little bit of a, like, I understand why they went for him, but that's not the type of player that these top teams are really.
Yeah, it's not Pep footballer. Although I don't want to talk about him, but it doesn't fit. That's a good
look
point.
at Bayern Munich today. They scored 6 goals against Frankfurt.
Yeah,
and
they look pretty good. Yeah,
most of those goals are coming from midfield.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it goes back to that point too. I mean, I don't know. One, even for Ronaldo was to play on Sunday, and nobody wants him, and because if he buckles down, he'll be an integral part. He'll have to understand that he may be used in a different capacity than he probably wants.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, should we even play him on Sunday? He only had 45 minutes of football. That's a kind of a question that I don't know. We have another question here from Anish about if Ronaldo had been at City, would things have been different for him? I mean, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Like, I mean, there's moments last year at City where you say to yourself, if you have a guy like Ronaldo, he would score boatloads of goals. But Pep can say what he wants. He doesn't really like strikers, so there are a lot of false 9, a lot of tinkering. I don't know.
Maybe in the Champions League.
Yeah, they may have gone over the Champions League. Yeah. So it could have been. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, I don't know. Thanks for the question, Anisha. We appreciate it. Thanks everyone for joining us. We're talking all things Manchester United. We're on the Cristiano Ronaldo thing. So if I had to put it on you, will he stay or will he
go? I don't think he's going to leave.
Yeah, because nobody wants him.
Because nobody. I mean, when you start seeing kind of tweets coming out from the president of Corinthians, great famous team, right?
big club,
big club, big history, right? But we found out very quickly that Ronaldo wants to leave because he's a little bit worried about Messi overtaking him in the Champions League all-time scoring record, even though he's ahead by about 15 or 16 goals. And Messi wasn't great for PSG last season.
I think he scored like 4 goals, 6 goals all of last season.
Yeah, something.
And nobody really talked about it.
Something pretty low, right? Mm-hmm. Will he leave? I think he won't. I think he's going to be a little bit of baggage, for the season. So what do you do? Like, I mean, the old classic adage is that you send them off to the reserves for the season.
Yeah, but I can't see Ten Hag doing that. I think he's too savvy for that, and it wouldn't work.
It happens anymore.
And we have to be honest. I think the very special players sometimes get away with stuff, right? Cantona used to wear sneakers and not kind of have his tie all the way up, and you better not ask Sir Alex why he was looking like that when you had to look at, you had to dress appropriately, right? So I think for the mercurial type of players, the players that can do things that no other players can, you get away with it. But then you do say he's 37, so I don't know. I think in a perfect world, Ten Hag wouldn't want the baggage because he already is inheriting a job that is beyond him in many ways, right?
Yeah.
In the sense that not that he can be successful, because I think he can, is that he's not being supported the way we think. I think a lot of talk is happening, and United not spending money. You can't have £150 million transfer for a team that finished 6th, and that is supposedly supposed to be challenging for everything. It's not looking good.
People bandy around words like revolution and evolution to kind of describe like where we were at. So like with Ten Hag, with Ole, it was going to be a revolution against the old Mourinho way. With Ragnick, it was going to be an evolution of tinkering, right? Finding that kind of defensive wherewithal, getting that spirit into like pressing high on the field, getting that kind of verve back. And with Ten Hag, same kind of wording, like the revolution, right? But here's the problem. revolutions like that can't happen with the Glazers at the helm. It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
You saw the statistics that came out in the summer about how much money the Glazers put into the club versus how much they take out.
Yeah.
We already know the role.
Over $1 billion in debt.
Yeah.
We've been spending on debt, servicing debt.
I'm already talking about it, right? We obviously know about the dividends that were being paid to the Glazers. We know the control that the Glazers have in the market. We don't know how much that has changed with Ten Hag coming in. What we do know is that there's a reluctance to go into the market for another striker right now.
Right.
We know that there's reluctance to go. Well, I suppose they are willing to put out 60 million for a midfielder, but they don't want to spend money on a striker. Right?
Yeah, because they don't have the money. That's the problem.
Well, United always has money.
Yeah, exactly, but they're not spending it, right?
Right.
You know?
No,
and it's shambolic. You know, the funny thing is, obviously, the Glazers, what? How long they own the club now? 17 years? How many years? Something like that.
Yeah.
And they've always been bad, right? But it's like you had Sir Alex, so you could paper over it. And then they spent a lot of money. The club spent a lot of money under the Woodward years, right?
Yeah.
If you just look at the numbers.
Poorly.
But where are those people? So it's like one manager to the next. It's a modern club it's a big football club that's been run with, you know, as if it's like it's a tanker you can't move around, right? Like, and no football director, no philosophy at the time for where you want to go. And so you buy players that only fit the manager, right? And that's not going to work when managers are not staying 10 years plus, right? You know, so.
Well, let me ask you this. Like, I mean, who's been bought under the Glazer kind of regime who's been a resounding success? Like, I think about the benchmark, right?
Yeah.
The benchmark is Van Persie, right?
Okay.
Van
well,
Persie
we haven't had any of those kind of success, yeah.
Well, I don't even mean on I don't mean on a club level, but I mean individual success. Like, I think the closest you probably get to that is probably like a Bruno.
Yeah, I think Bruno for a year and a half was on a different planet.
But a year and a half.
Yeah.
But he's been orbiting that planet and not playing football properly, kicking the ball to, you know, he is one of the worst kind of recession or he's one of the worst midfielders in the league at keeping the ball currently, you know. And like, you'll talk about players like Messi who have they lose the ball 50-60% of the time because they're trying to do something spectacular, right? But that's not necessarily the case with Bruno anymore. Don't get me wrong, I think he's a brilliant player, and I think Ten Hag will bring the best out of him this year, hopefully back to what he was like under the first year under Ole. But there have been no major success stories, really.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you've seen some stuff coming out of the academy, but the club has been, it's been going through too much changeover at the top and in management. I mean, now there's different structure in place. It's going to take time. If you're a United fan, you got to take some time and you just got to sit there and wait. But it's hard to sit and wait when you haven't won a Premier League title since 2013, right? And when you look at it, I mean, United could improve immensely, I think, this year and still finish 5th or 6th. You know, in terms of the play, you know, you're seeing progress. But Liverpool and City are way out there. Haaland, new, they're buying players. Tottenham,
even Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Gabriel Jesus looked bright today.
Exactly. So Chelsea spent a lot of money already, 60 million or something like that. So it's tough to if you're not making those kind of moves. And yeah, you can coach players in, but do you really want? United's always relied on kids, but are you going to just sit and wait on that, right? Yeah.
I also think it's hard because, like, right now, the Premier League is very strong.
Extremely, right? Yeah.
And I think back in 2012, 2013, it wasn't very, you know, like, I mean, that Chelsea team was starting to dwindle.
Yeah.
The Liverpool team was completely inconsistent, right? The City team was the closest kind of competitor, right? But, like, you didn't have two English teams. I mean, think about how many English teams have gotten to a Champions League final over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's a hard place to be in.
It's a hard game to catch up.
Yeah.
And we've squandered a lot of time, in particular over the last, like even I think like Van Gaal made some funny decisions.
Yeah.
Schneiderlin, Schweinsteiger.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, lasting a couple of years, and then
yeah, Falcao.
Falcao. You know, like I mean,
no, it is. I guess Ten Hag. I think Ten Hag is the man for the job because he can rebuild the club. It's going to take time, and I think if they had spent some more money, it would help. But thanks everyone for joining us. We really appreciate you on the live. If it's your first time on the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe. Whenever we go channel, this is Sports Talk Tech. Cover a lot of different stuff on sports. There's a question here. What's the dream scenario from Anish at the Christmas break, and what do you think is most likely? So in this case, I guess what's his dream scenario when they go off to the World Cup? Yeah,
right?
Yeah, because the World Cup is in
November.
Yeah, in November. I think I don't know the answer to that. I think if United is still in like 5th or 6th, that might be okay, right? You know, I'm being realistic this year. I just don't really know. It depends. If he gets Frenkie de Jong, if they buy a striker, because we're talking here, they bought Malacia, Martinez, Eriksson on a free. Yeah. They're trying to get rid of some players, loan some players out. If he manages to get the number 6, which we think is Frenkie de Jong, and if he also gets another striker, which there's word on what's that kid, sesko or Seshko.
Yeah, Seshko.
Right. If we can get something like that, then I trust Ten Hag as a good coach, a good tactician. Then we might be in a better shape than we think we are. I'm optimistic that I'm going to ask you where you think we finish in the end of the season, but that's how I'm thinking about it, right? You know, so yeah, thank you for Dean the Dream for that super chat here. Super appreciate it. He's loving the stream. Thank you so much. Yeah. So yeah, your thoughts on where we are. Yeah.
I'll say first of all, I'm a little skeptical about the Benjamin Sesko.
Yeah, who knows this kid, right?
Nobody was talking about this kid until he beat 2 players against Liverpool.
Exactly right.
Nobody was talking about this player. He stinks of even Perisic with a little bit more skill.
If we mention Perisic one more time, and
we can't be bringing up Perisic and Wesley Schneider in one conversation. But to go back to the question, where do I think we're gonna finish? Well, we're not gonna finish in the top 3.
You mean at Christmas or overall?
At Christmas. At Christmas. If we were in and around the top 4, if we were in and around the top 4 and we were conceding kind of, you know, less numbers than last year and about scoring about the same, right? Like, I mean, I'd probably take that.
Yeah, because you know, I agree with that. I think if he had the squad at the time he should, we knew Ten Hag was going to be the manager. Identify the players. If he had gotten all of those players right away, they went on the tour to Thailand and Australia and wherever, and we saw what we've seen with our eyes, some really good football out there, some good goals that are pretty difficult to score. The link up play.
Absolutely.
So if he had those things, and you say, look, you see a Garnacho, you see Ethan Laird, you see all these kids around there. Then I would say to myself, you know what? It's pretty decent. Yeah. And if Ronaldo wasn't doing the whole I want to leave, and then he understands that he's an integral part of the team and everything is gelling together, I would say maybe 3rd would be a good shot. You know,
I'd bite your hand off
at December.
Right? Yeah.
But at this stage, we've been lucky, right? We might be playing. What's the kid's name, McNeil or whatever, in the forward line next week. I mean, who knows?
Line will put Charlie Savage, Sudan
Iqbal, exactly.
You know, get all the kids.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I'm glad he brought up Savage and those guys. There's a lot of young, talented individuals coming through the academy that a guy like Ten Hag would look at and say, I can do something with. The problem is, it's the Premier League. They're not ready, and you can't just throw them into the deep end, right? Like, you know, we think about class of 92 and all that. Ferguson never threw them all in the deep end at the same time, right? You know, they went through, then he realized they were ready, and we like, okay, we got to get rid of these guys to facilitate these players. But so I believe in the academy. I think the academy is the best place to be. I think if you come through the academy, you have some kind of respect for the club, unless you're Dean Anderson. But but you know, so I don't know. Yeah.
Alejandro Garnacho.
Yeah, I think he's a star.
He's a proper player.
He's a
proper player. Proper player.
Yeah.
2 feet. He's quick.
Yeah.
He's he can pass, but he's selfish as well. And he gets the kind of like the hairs and the
neck. I like him. You know, but you don't look at him and say he's leading the line. I think he could give Rashford some problems on the left. And that's good. You know, you want healthy competition, and it's not bad if the competition is coming out of the academy, right? For sure. There's some groundedness there. They understand stuff, but I don't know.
If they're pushing people ahead of them to perform a little bit more, you know.
We need that.
We need that. Yeah, badly.
And while we're on it, I guess, I mean, to be honest with you, I think we might end up being 5th next year, you know, but, you know, I'm hoping that we can make it in 4th position, but I know that's probably the fan in me and not the thing.
If we get 5th and play good football,
you'll take it, yeah.
If we get 5th and we play boring football, if we start conceding goals and we start going into our shell,
right,
and we have like the last 6 months of the last season, I don't know if I would take that.
Yeah.
You know, the old thing about like the league doesn't lie.
Yeah.
It's 5th place can look a lot different based on how we get there, right? So I think there's a lot to it.
But I think minimum though, the standard for him is still a 4th place, because I think the commercial stuff is banking on it, and we know on the Ed Woodward used to talk nonsense about Manchester United's commercial juggernaut. You saw the team viewer thing. They're leaving the sponsorship after it's done. The biggest way to get commercial success is success on the football pitch.
Yeah,
that's the end of it. You know, stop chasing, you know, fingernail clipper companies or whatever.
The finest tractors.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want a yard as green as Old Trafford?
Exactly. Team view, whatever you need. Get, you know, the Adidas people there's a clause in the Adidas contract that can kick in if you're not finishing in those positions, right? Champions League positions. So I think it's a crucial point for the club. And I mean, Ten Hag seems like he's taking back control. You know, the greatest manager we've ever had. He let it slip last year. I think he was in Ireland or maybe went to Scotland. And he was at a horse racing event or something. And the reporter was, and I think Fergie may have had a couple of nice ones. And they just
asked him, red ones.
Yeah, just asking him about the horse. And then he slips right in a United question. And he says to him, what's the problem there or something like that. And I think he realized, after he said it, he realized maybe I shouldn't be talking about United. But he says the real problem is you need somebody in there to get back control. And if you don't have control over that club, and if you, no matter how big you are or so, every great manager has control. Pep has control right now. Klopp has control. You know, by God, Ancelotti got control at Real Madrid, and you know nobody really gets control over there. And so I think that's a big thing. All right, let's talk a little bit about the game on Sunday. So we open up against Brighton. How are we gonna line up?
Oh, I love this part. Yeah.
How are we gonna line up for that? Yeah, we know no Martial, but backline for you. What's the backline looking?
Well, we're gonna get Dean Henderson back for the game, right? De Gea to start.
Yeah.
De Gea to start. One thing I've noticed about De Gea is that his footwork has been a lot better in pre-season.
It seems that way, and Ten Hag was giving him a few choice words when he wasn't doing what he wanted him to do.
However, still the worst, one of the worst goalies in the league for catching the ball in the air, which against Brighton could be a problem, as we know. A lot of big, tall lads in defence and up top. Oh, I mean, no position is secure for any player in that back line.
Yeah.
I mean, who starts at left back? Luke Shaw or Malacia? My money, I would prefer Malacia to start.
I think so too. Yeah.
But I think Luke Shaw will start.
But have you seen anything in preseason to suggest that?
He had a good game against Liverpool. That first game,
that is true. Yeah.
But not a lot since then. Malacia does this really interesting thing, and you can see the kind of Ten Hag kind of philosophy coming to play when it comes to Malacia's positioning. When United are attacking, Malacia becomes a central defender. So he adds body into the midfield a little bit more. We know that Luke Shaw doesn't do that. Luke Shaw is a give and go, you know, the kind of guy which benefits like a Rashford. Also benefits a system on the break. Ten Hag will hope to have a little bit more, and we saw that in the preseason games. He's going to want to have a lot more possession in the middle of the field. Malacia gives you that, and if it were an away game, I would say 100% it's going to be Luke Shaw starting. I think it'll be Luke Shaw starting, but I wouldn't be surprised at the same time. It's Malacia.
Harry Maguire. Who is he gonna start? Who's partnering him?
Do you start Varane,
or do you go right ahead and start the new guy Martinez, or it's too early?
Martinez is our best defender. He's our best defender, and I think that's he's a ball playing defender with a left foot. You know, he can play
aggressive.
Aggressive. He can play it out. But he's 5'9".
Yeah.
But he's got a jump on.
Yeah.
But he's still 5'9".
Yeah.
Harry Maguire, for all that he lacks in terms of playing the ball out, defensive mistakes, when he has a good game in the air,
he's not much better than him.
He's not much better than him.
Yeah,
you know, that big mallet of a head on him. For that reason, I'd say Maguire is going to start.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to start with, if he's fit, Rafa Varane.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of Varane, you know, in and out in terms of, I guess he's been injured somewhat too. So
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we sell by the end of the transfer window Eric Bailly.
Yeah, I think that, I like the guy, but he never plays 2 games in a row.
He's always the same thing. He's either the best defender in the league,
or injured, or injured,
or he's the worst defender in the league. There's no in between for him.
Yeah.
So I can't see him starting. I can't see. Lindelof is too weak in the air. Lindelof is not aggressive enough in the air. He gets bullied.
Yeah.
We saw that. I think that he's good against a team who plays it on the ground.
And he's a good squad player, I would think. Right?
Listen, I think Lindelof is a good player. I think he's a good player, in particular for this year playing in the Europa League. I think he's going to be a good squad player to have around for those Thursday night games.
All right. So you said Malacia, Harry Maguire, and Varane if he's fit.
If he's fit, or I mean, again.
And so who's on the left?
Malacia,
who's on the right rather? Or is he playing 3 at the back?
Well, before the Ronaldo stuff with leaving Old Trafford early, I would have said Diogo Dalot.
Yeah.
Right? But because Diogo Dalot was the other player who left with Ronaldo,
you think he's gonna get some punishment for that?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's gonna get punished for it. There's conversations around Aaron Wan-Bissaka going back to Crystal Palace. So who else do we have at right back?
Kids. I mean, there's nobody else there, right? Like,
Ethan Laird.
Ethan Laird could, Is he gone yet?
He's about to go out on loan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good. I don't know. I mean, I think that backline could work. So in the middle of the park, who are you thinking? Is it gonna be Fred and McTominay starting?
McSauce. It's not gonna be both of them. I think that Ten Hag will be aware that he has to put out an attacking lineup. I think that is the first and the easiest way to get the crowd and pundits on his side. Putting out just for those 45 minutes between when the team is announced and when they go out in the field, people will be saying that this is an attacking team. I wouldn't be surprised if he played Fred behind Bruno Fernandes and Christian Eriksen. It's if Fred doesn't have a good game, it could be a disaster, right? I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, I think that could work. I mean, maybe McTominay over Fred if he's doing Bruno and Eriksen at the same time, you know. I think those guys will feature at some point.
Yeah.
Bruno. I think Bruno starts. I think whether Eriksen starts is the next thing. He could start. You know, it could be a false 9. Because if Ronaldo isn't fit enough and he doesn't want to go with him, he could put Rashford in the number 9 position. But I don't know, right?
Well, what do we know for certain about Rashford? Not a finisher.
Right. I mean, and he looks better. Last year's confidence was shot. He came back from those surgeries.
He looks fit.
He looks good.
He
scored on preseason. He looked pretty good on preseason. So,
but he scored. But you saw the finish.
Right.
It was he fluffed his lines and it came in off the defender.
Yeah.
Right.
I still like him coming in, like cutting.
Well, listen,
in.
I'm one of the biggest defenders of Rashford.
Yeah.
But as a number 9.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah. I think maybe running a false 9 on Sunday might be a better
a little bit of fluidity.
Yeah.
Putting
even Ericsson up there might work.
Even Ericsson up there would work.
Yeah.
Even Ericsson up there would work.
Because I think you might, if you even play Ronaldo, is it gonna be for a full 90? I doubt it. And there's a lot of substitutions that can be made in with new rules. So yeah.
The big player that's going to feature tomorrow, if he's fit, I think he is Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, I think Sancho is going to be special.
Sancho has had his year to kind of fit in, to figure out the rhythm, to know what his role is in the team. Now, obviously, that was a little bit more fluid under Ragnick, and he wasn't really hammered down. But I think we can say for certain now that Jadon Sancho is playing on the right wing. Right?
Yeah, he's going to play. Yeah, I think so.
And I think that's going to cause a lot of problems, right?
Yeah, I think that side of the field is good, and I think just because of the link-up play, I think Ten Hag might be forced to play the low just because of that. I know he wants to punish him, but
it's the same problem with Ronaldo.
Is
right?
Ronaldo?
Who do you play instead?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the question is, you playing Ronaldo or playing Diogo Dalot, that little bit of control that we're talking about, you cede that little bit of control. You give it away. You give the pundit the immediate opportunity to find something that they're doing.
Right.
Is he playing too defensive a team?
Right.
Is he creating a situation where he's ceding control to players and they haven't even kicked the ball yet in the Premier League?
Yeah.
So it's tough.
It's tough, and it's Manchester United. If somebody left the toilet paper on the ground, it's headline news, right? So, yeah, I don't know. So, score prediction for a game against Brighton and Hove Albion.
There's no point starting pragmatically or kind of with a conservative answer on this. Let's say 3-1. 3-1.
I like that. I was thinking 3-1. Let us know in the comments. Your score prediction for Manchester United's opener on Sunday. Yeah, it could be 3-0. I'm gonna go with 3-0. I think they go and keep a
if they whip the crowd up, if the crowd shows up, I mean, if Ronaldo plays tomorrow, it's written
on Sunday. He
scores.
You know how he works, right? Yeah, because there's something about him. He taps into a particular place and he shows you that I'm
and
still
he turns it all off.
Yeah.
He's a consummate kind of elite goal scorer.
Right, and if Stretchfield and is making noise, you feed off of that.
Even during all the nonsense with him wanting out,
when
his name got announced
for
it was
Rai Varacana. Yeah,
he got the biggest shout of everybody. So, and that's what I mean about United fans: long memory, but also a very short memory at the same time.
Yeah. Anish is saying 2-0, no Ronaldo.
2-0, no Ronaldo.
Yeah, no.
Listen, Anish, I would take 2-0, no Ronaldo happily.
Yeah, I'll take that. At least we'll be joint with Arsenal in the league.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I think a couple of things. I think the Old Trafford mystique is gone in the sense no one comes there fearful. But I think if you start the game strong, if you score early, if we can score in the first 15 minutes or so, dictate play, maybe 2 up by half. Yeah. I think that could put Brighton. They'll recognize that we're too good for them, right? And that might create. And if the crowd is there, an atmosphere, and opening day at Old Trafford is going to be a lot of noise, right? If nothing else. But if they start with a stinker, then
the pressure's on.
It's on, Yeah. We're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn if he can replicate that good football link up that he's playing in preseason into the start of the season.
And as we know, preseason doesn't always translate, right? sometimes the worst preseasons are the ones that
Right.
give you the best seasons, and
Yeah.
vice versa. So it's a bit of
Yeah.
a crapshoot.
Yeah, and you know, I often, and you know this too, you never look at the results. You kind of look for the play and to see if things are happening. And you know, there's some good stuff that came out of preseason, right?
There was some great stuff that came
yeah.
out. Less the second half of the preseason.
Yeah.
But in particular, and admittedly, the opposition that we had for the first 2 or 3 games wasn't very great.
Right.
We played.
No, we played Liverpool, right? Yeah, but you know, that's the I don't. You know, any day you put 4 past them is always.
It's always
day.
a happy day.
Yeah.
Always a happy day to win. But we played some good stuff.
Yeah. The kids were a bright spark.
Right.
Savage, you know.
Yeah, well, that's it. Those were,
yeah, you know, Garnacho, yeah.
I mean, when I saw Iqbal, Zidane Iqbal rather pirouetting.
Yeah.
You know, pass to defender or pass to attacking players. Like, I mean,
there's some ballers there to come.
There's some ballers there to come. I mean, like, you know, to go back to Garnacho again. Like, I mean,
I think he's first team this year.
He's first team this year. I don't think any of them are. I think Ethan Laird is a good. I think he's going out loan, or I think he already did.
Yeah.
Was it Preston North?
I don't. Yeah, I haven't looked at. If he did, I didn't. I missed it.
He's a good cover.
I think he's gonna be a star, right? You know, but he needs to play. The thing is, they have to play to. At this age, if they're not playing regular football, then they might be. It's no good, you know.
Right.
Especially in a position that he plays, right? You can keep on. You could keep a Garnacho or a forward and kind of tinker with them and
keep
play them here. Yeah.
Bring him on for 20 minutes at the end of the game, and he can score a goal.
Yeah, but you can't be the left back coming on for 5 minutes. You know, that doesn't help.
A left back is judged over 90 minutes.
Yeah.
An attacking player is judged only by the moment that they create something special, and you can kind of forget about everything else.
Yeah.
You don't forget about the bad moments for the left back. You really remember them.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Right.
And so some of them need playing time, and I think there's going to be a lot of loan moves, and hopefully it's the right loan move. I mean, players have come back from loan and not, you know, like Chong to me is probably a little bit disappointment. You know, maybe.
Yeah, well, he didn't really do it at Werder Bremen.
Yeah, he was good at Birmingham. Was it Birmingham?
Yeah. But he doesn't. You saw that very clearly against Vallecano.
Yeah,
like he gave the ball away a lot.
Yeah.
And that's probably his one opportunity to really kind of convince the manager not to send him out on loan somewhere or to sell him. And he was probably the weakest player on the field.
Right.
And I want Sean to succeed, but I don't think I don't think that he's much worse technically than Alanga.
Right.
But I think, and like this goes back to the starting 11, like the possibility of Alanga maybe starting. If Ronaldo doesn't start, he could figure in some capacity. Alanga gives you, like, I don't think that Alanga has the technical kind of ability to be a starter.
But he's a
good squad player.
But he's a good
He's a good squad player. He's going to chase everything, and he's going to chip in with the odd goal.
Yeah.
But he can't be starting for us. Like, he just doesn't have the ability.
Right.
To do that.
Yeah. We were getting a question from Manish about the if the third game is the is the one that would be testing us the most, right? You know,
City is it?
Yeah, I was trying to pull up at the schedule because I think the big test is,
is it Liverpool?
It's a Liverpool
actually?
game. That's the game on the 22nd. Yeah, I was trying to remember the date. At this stage, I don't know the answer. I actually don't think the third game is the test. The first test is to beat Brighton. I think that's an important. The Liverpool game becomes problematic if you play Brighton and is it Brentford in the second game and you have no points. Then the season is upon you. I think if you walk away with 6 points in the first 2 games, or even 4 over 2, I 6 would be better. Then you go into that Liverpool game. It's a derby game. Anything can happen. You know, they used to, when we were on top of the world and they weren't, you know, every now and again they pull up some trees, right? You know, so yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I I think
Thanks for the question.
I think it can go either way, right? Like, I mean, I think those first 2 games are really important. If we got 2 wins to begin the season, that's great.
Yeah.
If we got a win and a loss going into that Liverpool game, and Liverpool have lost or won their first 2 games before meeting us and beating us, and they go 6 points ahead of us and you're still in August, that's a problem.
It is,
right?
And if you haven't gotten the players you need,
and if you hadn't gotten the players you need, absolutely, So I think, the Brighton game is the big one now. Get points on the board,
and then get to Brentford, who performed creditably well last year for a team that came up.
I'm a lot less worried about
Brentford than Brighton. Yeah, Brighton plays good football. I mean, they've lost a couple of players, but I think they're a hard team to break down to.
I think I would have been a lot more scared of Brentford last season than this season.
Yeah,
they stayed up. They proved that they could stay up, right? And we know how they play as well now. They were an unknown quantity coming into the Premier League last year, which took a lot of people by surprise, right? And they got a lot of points. They ended up on 10th.
Yeah.
They did very well. Like, they had a great first season. They're in a difficult situation now in that now they have to do it twice, right? And do they want to do better than 10th? They'll probably settle for the same thing. So last season, they would have settled for 16th.
Right.
And they fought tooth and nail for every game. I wouldn't be surprised, even if the manager is pushing against us, that an element of complacency comes into how they play. So I'm less worried about them than I might have been last year, even though I think we beat them home and away last year.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I think we may have, because they were a bogey team. I think they opened on Arsenal last year and beat them, right?
They did. Yeah.
No, yeah. Well, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. All the comments coming in. So final, before we wrap up, final few things. Ten Hag, what would be, I think, if I had to grade what's happening from the start of preseason since the new manager's been here, he's brought Steve McLaren, Benny McCarthy, his own guys. There's some shifting going on. I see some good stuff happening where there might be a separation between the football and the football side and the business side of the club. The recruitment part is still shabby. I don't know what's going on.
Mixed, I would say.
Yeah, mix. In terms of their ability to, and certainly the ability to land players or do multiple deals at the same time is a challenge. So, and maybe that might be worked out. So I would say it could be, a B- for me in terms of where we are now. A B- that could turn into maybe a B+ if we get some players, the right player. If we sign a striker, if we get the De Jong. If we don't get De Jong across the line, I think it's a D. Like, like the whole, it is just like, if I had to grade it. So what would be the best thing that would happen for Manchester United when the transfer market closes, and what's the worst thing for you?
The best thing would be probably the Glazers selling the club.
Okay.
Maybe not realistic as I would like it to be.
I don't think that's a far off thing. I don't think that will happen when the transfer market closes. It might happen in,
I could see it
at the
in
end of the
years.
season or next couple of years.
Well, it's a cash cow for them right now. Realistically, so what are the best things that I could see happening right now? I think that they could invest in a midfielder. I mean, there's 2 very good midfielders in the league who know the league that perform week in, week out. And I don't know if they'll fit into the type of number 6 that we'd want. But Ruben Diaz, Ruben Neves.
Neves.
Although I wouldn't say no to Ruben Diaz.
I agree there.
Ruben Neves and Yuri Tielemans. Yuri Tielemans, maybe not so much, but there are other players who we could get in if the De Jong
thing fell through.
Yeah, if it fell through.
But it would be shambolic. It would be high level catastrophe if he doesn't come to the club, right?
Oh, I don't think he's coming.
Oh, so you think it's dead?
Oh, I think it's dead.
Yeah.
I think it's been dead for a little while, and I think that I think neither club wanted to be dead. I think Barcelona want him out
because they need it for the wages and also
Right.
for the transfer fee. Because
Yeah.
he's the highest player there, right?
Yeah.
Or one of the highest, if not.
And they can't. There's 6 players that they can't sign, or rather, can't
Register.
right
Yeah.
before the league. So they need him out. United need him in.
And now he's what? He's going to play in the defensive line. Like
Right.
this is the
So I don't think they're going to get him in. I think if they got in somebody comparable or like somebody decent at the number 6 position, and they need a striker, right?
Right.
If they were able to do both of those things, I would say it's a very successful transfer window. But then the other thing you got to say is look at all the players who have left.
Right.
Right. We're not only down on quality, but we're down on numbers
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
You know, we lost probably 8 players.
8 or 9 or something like that. And more to come, right? You know,
Yeah.
There's and a host of midfield gone, right? Whether they were good enough or not performing.
Yeah.
You're talking big name players too. Pogba, Matic, Mata.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big names.
Yeah. So it's for me, if they don't sign a player, if they don't sign De Jong, I think it's to have pursued him the entire summer is
it's a bit of
beyond
disaster.
me, right?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And so that's why every moment I wake up, I'm saying to myself, they must know something, because even as inept as Manchester United has been in terms of business over the years, it's a new regime.
Yeah.
You know, it's Richard Arden, it's Murtaugh and Fletcher, right? It's not Woodward trying to sign a Hollywood-style player or a Galactico. So for all of everything that I could think about logically, at this moment, the Premier League starts on Sunday. Erik ten Hag must have some direct line that's better than a phone, and he's getting word and he's saying, boss, I'm coming to Manchester United. I just got to make sure these guys pay me. And he's okay with it. Because if that is not, if that's not the scenario, Maurice, and you are actually correct that he's not coming, then we might as well not watch a game this season, because this is, I mean, man, that might be a step too far.
Dwayne,
yeah.
It's the hope that kills you.
Yeah.
It's the hope that kills you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right.
Right.
I'd like to see a player like De Jong joining. We'll see.
Yeah. And on Hope, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's been good. If you're watching us on the replay, hit your comments. I'll get to them. I want to thank my good friend Maurice for agreeing to come sit and chat with me about Manchester United. We do it all the time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I got a lot of videos on the channel. Big blend, track and field cricket, a lot more football to come, sports explainers. And Maurice, it was a pleasure, man. I really appreciate you coming over and we discussing Manchester United. And thanks everyone for joining us. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, Anish. Appreciate it. And all the other people who didn't come in. Thanks. Stay safe out there. Bye.